At Money in the Bank 2018, 8 superstars were ready to destroy each other in an intense ladder match for a chance to become a Mr. Money in the Bank. From the very beginning, everyone knew that Braun Strowman was the biggest threat to win the contract, so all the superstars decided to work together, fully focusing on him. In the middle of the match, exactly when Braun came back to fight, Kevin and Samoa saw a golden opportunity to finally eliminate him. And together, not only did they place Beast on a table, but on top of that, Kevin went on top of a ladder ready to perform his iconic move. But as Kevin was about to jump, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, Braun broke free, climbed the ladder with terrifying speed, and without any hesitation threw Kevin straight through a table. And even though Braun won the Money in the Bank that night, for some reason he wasn't satisfied with just winning. And for the next few weeks, Braun made Kevin's life a living hell inside and outside the ring. Kevin apologized for what happened multiple times, but none of it worked, and Braun decided to teach Kevin a lesson by forcing him into a tag team match on Monday Night Raw. The whole match was a nightmare for Kevin as Braun ordered him around like a servant, but despite the humiliation, they somehow managed to win the match. And after that victory, Kevin thought his nightmare was finally over. But when Strowman gave him that terrifying look, Kevin immediately knew what was about to happen. And without wasting a single second, Kevin turned around and sprinted backstage. After a few minutes of complete silence, Kevin made his way to the parking lot, and as he got there, everything turned to chaos. To everyone's surprise, standing right there was Braun Strowman with a sick smile on his face, casually holding Kevin's car keys in his massive hand. Kevin froze for a second as he didn't know what just happened. But when Strowman started laughing maniacally and said,
"I hope you got insurance, because there's your car,"
Kevin's heart immediately dropped. On SmackDown 2022, Roman was ready to go face-to-face with Brock Lesnar for the first time since he destroyed him at Madison Square Garden. But suddenly Paul pulled out his phone and said something no one expected.
"Brock will not be here this evening."
And right after those words, Roman grabbed the mic and started laughing, saying Brock Lesnar was too scared to show up and face him. But as Roman continued mocking Brock, all of a sudden Paul Heyman interrupted him again and immediately started screaming that Brock is on his way to the arena. As Roman heard that, he immediately ordered the Usos to run straight to the parking lot and get to their car before it was too late. But as they reached the vehicle and started getting inside, everything turned to chaos. To everyone's surprise, Brock Lesnar appeared with a forklift driving straight at them. At first, Brock flipped their car on its back, leaving the entire bloodline trapped with nowhere to run. But when they somehow managed to break free and sprinted to another truck, Brock spotted them instantly, and without any hesitation, he chased them down like a madman. And just as they again tried to escape, Brock grabbed the truck's door and ripped it off with his bare hands. And right after that, he walked straight to the ring carrying it like a trophy. On Monday Night Raw 2025, Dominik Mysterio stepped into the ring to defend his Intercontinental Championship against John Cena. From the very beginning, Dominik knew he couldn't stand the 17-time world champion in a fair fight. So midway through the match, he decided to pull off the same trick he successfully used against AJ Styles. The moment Dom tossed the chair straight to Cena, everything seemed to be going according to plan. But when John immediately figured out exactly what was happening, everything turned to chaos. Cena not only caught the chair, but on top of that, he instantly threw it right between them and dropped straight to the mat. The referee froze for a second as he didn't know what just happened. But when he walked over to check on Dominik, he found nothing wrong, so he immediately moved to Cena to see what happened. And here's the wild part. The moment the referee turned to Cena, Dominik lifted his head to check if his plan had worked. But to his disbelief, Cena was lying in the exact same position. And right after that, John looked straight at Dominik and gave him the biggest wink that ruined everything. Back in 2014, the Authority told Daniel he wasn't good enough to main event WrestleMania, but the WWE Universe refused to accept that, and to prove them wrong, Bryan was scheduled to face Triple H at WrestleMania 30 with only one condition. If he could beat him, he would earn his spot to compete for the World Heavyweight Championship later that night. From the very beginning, Triple H targeted Bryan's injured shoulder. But despite everything thrown at him, Bryan hit Triple H with a devastating running knee and pinned him right in front of millions. But just when Bryan thought he could finally celebrate, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, Stephanie McMahon stormed into the ring, and instead of congratulating him, she delivered a series of vicious slaps right across his face. And before he could even react, Hunter attacked him from behind. Later, as promised, Daniel stepped into the main event against Randy Orton and Batista. Midway through the match, Batista hit him with a devastating Batista bomb, and on top of that, Randy Orton caught him with RKO. But when everyone thought it was all over, something unexpected happened. To everyone's surprise, Bryan broke free from Stretcher, and as the arena erupted, he crawled straight to the ring. Randy immediately saw this as an opportunity to finally eliminate him and started attacking him relentlessly. But even that wasn't enough to stop him from winning the match. On Monday Night Raw 1998, Shawn Michaels stepped into the ring and challenged Mike Tyson to a fight, and for a moment, it looked like the two legends were about to actually fight with each other. But when everyone thought a brutal brawl was about to happen, everything changed. To everyone's surprise, Shawn Michaels ripped off his shirt, revealing he had secretly been part of D-Generation X DX. The crowd went absolutely crazy as Tyson celebrated alongside DX, leaving no doubt he was firmly on Shawn's side. A few days later at WrestleMania 14, Shawn Michaels defended his WWE Championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin, with Mike Tyson standing ringside as the special enforcer. Both wrestlers were dominating most of the match, but by in the middle of it, they accidentally knocked out the original referee. And from that moment on, everything turned to chaos. Out of nowhere, Stone Cold delivered a devastating stunner to Shawn and went for the pin. And without wasting a single second, Mike Tyson jumped into the ring, counting the fastest 3 in history. The crowd froze for a second as they couldn't believe what just happened. But when Shawn finally stood up to confront Tyson, Mike responded to him by delivering a devastating hook. And what happened next is even crazier. A few years later in 2010, Shawn Michaels wanted to get his revenge on Mike, but instead of fighting him, Tyson proved him wrong by knocking Jericho out, proving once again that deep down, he was always loyal to D-Generation X. At Backlash 2020, Miz and John Morrison decided to challenge Universal Champion Braun Strowman for his title in a handicap match. But instead of preparing like normal wrestlers, they chose a way different approach. For an entire episode of SmackDown, the duo hid inside an unmarked van and declared they would make Braun's life a living hell. At first, they rigged his protein shake to explode all over him. Then during his backstage interview, they pressed a button to drop green slime. But unfortunately, their plan backfired when the entire bucket dumped all over the commentator instead. But when everyone thought it was all over, something unexpected happened. To everyone's surprise, they rushed straight to Braun's vintage car and smashed his windshield with a baseball bat. And here's the wild part. When Braun furiously asked where the duo was hiding, a security guard immediately pointed straight at the suspicious van parked in the corner. The moment Braun spotted it, he stormed forward, and as he noticed the hidden camera, he said something no one expected. "You two are dead." And right after those words, he flipped the van with his bare hands. After John defeated Kurt Angle at No Way Out 2005, he earned his opportunity to win his first ever WWE Championship at WrestleMania against the reigning champion JBL. For weeks leading up to that event, JBL tried to humiliate Cena, perfectly knowing that SmackDown general manager Teddy Long had set one critical rule. If John even dared to touch him before their main event, his title shot would be instantly gone. Obviously, that rule gave JBL the upper hand, letting him provoke Cena without any consequences. But on another episode of SmackDown, John found a way around it. That night, during their heated debate, at one point, Cena asked why such a rich and successful guy would drive to the ring in a broke-down limousine. At first, JBL didn't understand his question, but when John started walking straight towards it, he intuitively knew what was about to happen. And without saying a word, Cena broke one of the tires and on top of that, sprayed the side of the limousine. And right after that, he took his cowboy hat, filled it with water, placed it back on his head, and sealed the humiliation by spraying him. Surprisingly, after all that humiliation, our millionaire champion didn't even move. But 1 week later on SmackDown, everything changed. At that event, John was in the middle of his match against Carlito when all of a sudden JBL's music hit, and with police officers stormed straight to the ring. The crowd froze for a second as everyone was confused about what just happened, but when the officers took him down and placed handcuffs on him, the entire arena went silent. And here's the wild part. As the police started escorting him, furious Cena broke free and charged straight at him. But before he could do anything serious, JBL delivered him a vicious low blow. On Monday Night Raw 2015, Paul Heyman confidently stood in the middle of the ring, telling everyone that The Undertaker belonged to Brock right after he ended his legendary streak at WrestleMania. But what Paul didn't expect was that the lights would suddenly go off and The Undertaker would appear right behind him. Paul froze for a second as he realized that he crossed the wrong line. But before Undertaker could even do anything, Brock stormed straight to the ring to save him. Triple H immediately ordered security to take Brock, and after a massive struggle, they finally managed to drag both of them out of the ring. And here's the wild part. The moment Brock spotted Undertaker in the hallway, he instantly broke free and charged straight at him with such fury that another brutal brawl erupted. And right in the middle of this chaos, Brock screamed. And right after that, police rushed in and dragged him out of the arena. On Monday Night Raw 2016, Charlotte stepped into the ring to defend her WWE Women's Championship against Sasha Banks in a Falls Count Anywhere match. From the very beginning, Charlotte was absolutely dominating, throwing Sasha around the arena like she was nothing. But as they started battling all over the building, everything turned to chaos. To everyone's surprise, Sasha locked her in a devastating bank statement, forcing her to tap out. But losing the title itself wasn't what really broke her heart. It was watching her own father walking straight into the ring and celebrate with her as if she were the daughter he always wished Charlotte could be. For 6 long months, Charlotte didn't speak to her father, feeling completely betrayed and heartbroken. But one night on Raw, she invited him back to the ring, saying she wanted to give him a heartfelt apology. As Rick heard that, he quickly rushed straight to the ring, hoping his daughter had finally forgiven him. And when Charlotte apologized and opened her arms for a hug, he thought everything was finally okay. But as Rick went in for a second hug, Charlotte slapped him across the face, revealing it was all a trap. After a recent episode of Raw, Ray was giving a backstage interview about his upcoming match against Finn Balor. But before he could finish, finish, Logan Paul suddenly interrupted, saying something no one expected.
Ray, stop. Ray, I'm 6'3". You're 3'6".
He even called Ray a deadbeat dad, using Dominik's own words against him. At first, Ray tried to ignore it, but when Logan kept pushing, everything turned to chaos. To everyone's surprise, Ray delivered him a quick slap that shocked the entire backstage area. For months, Liv had been completely out of action, recovering from a serious shoulder injury that kept her away from WWE since June. During that time, Dominik was left completely alone, and without Liv by his side, things started falling apart. In November, he lost his Intercontinental Championship to John Cena. Then Survivor Series came, where Dom once again stepped into the ring with him. Obviously, Cena dominated most of the match, but when Dom once again started losing, everything turned to chaos. To everyone's surprise, Finn and JD rushed straight to the ring to save him. At first, they were dominating, but in the middle of the chaos, Cena outsmarted them by delivering an attitude adjustment that won the match. And right after that victory, the arena exploded when, for the first time in 5 months, Liv's entrance music hit, and without any hesitation, she stormed straight to the ring. Everyone expected her to help Dom, but instead she walked right up to him and slapped him right across the face. At King of the Ring 2001, Booker T made his shocking debut by jumping out of the crowd and viciously attacking Austin. That brawl was only the start of a longer beef between the two, but what happened on Vengeance took things to a whole new level of insanity. At that event, Booker T helped Chris Jericho win by costing Stone Cold the WWE Championship. And here's the wild part. The very next night on Raw, Ric Flair gave Chris Jericho an immediate rematch against Stone Cold in a steel cage. Obviously, Stone was dominating most of the match, but as he was about to escape the cage to win back his title, everything changed. To everyone's surprise, Booker T came out of nowhere and slammed the steel cage door into Austin's face, giving Jericho a chance to retain his championship. But what Booker didn't expect was that 3 days later, Stone would show up dressed exactly as a firefighter and chase him all over the arena. Desperate to escape, Booker ran straight into a nearby supermarket, convinced Stone would never find him there. And moments later, as he nervously snacked on cereal, he noticed a bald man approaching and attacked him instantly, believing it was Stone Cold himself. But when he realized it wasn't Austin, he intuitively expected what was about to happen. And seconds later, Stone Cold took it even further by soaking him in ketchup with mustard and even pouring flour all over his head. At one point, Booker managed to lock Austin in a fridge, but to his disbelief, Austin burst out of it and furiously charged straight at him. But after all that humiliation, Booker wasn't done yet. 4 days later on Raw, Booker appeared in the parking lot and without any hesitation destroyed Austin's precious truck. The moment Stone saw it, he instantly rushed outside only to watch Booker speed away, forcing Austin to chase him in his wrecked truck. And what happened next is even crazier. Later that night, Booker was trying to relax during a game of bingo until a familiar voice rang out over the speakers saying,
A as in Austin 316.
And right after those words, Booker panicked and ran through the church looking for a way out. With nowhere to run, he slipped into a confessional booth, but even that wasn't enough to escape from him. Eventually, it all came to an end when Ric Flair forced them into a first blood match on SmackDown. From the very beginning, Austin was absolutely dominating, but as he was about to finish the match, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, Big Boss Man appeared and smashed a steel chair into his head, forcing the referee to end the match. In October 2002, Kane stepped into one of the most intense matches of his entire career when the Raw roulette wheel forced him to defend the WWE Tag Team Championship in a TLC match. From the very beginning, Kane was absolutely dominating his opponents, throwing them around like they were nothing. But as the match progressed, everything turned to chaos. In the end of the match, as Kane viciously eliminated Chris, he decided to climb the ladder to grab the championships and secure his victory. But as Kane went on the ladder started violently shaking beneath him. The crowd froze for a second as they realized Kane could fall from a tremendous height. But to everyone's surprise, Chris Jericho instantly recognized the danger, and without any hesitation, he held the ladder, preventing Kane from crashing down. Back in 2015, Seth Rollins thought he had it all as the World Heavyweight Champion, until one day he heard the news that ruined everything. At SummerSlam, Brock had destroyed John Cena and announced that Seth Rollins is next on his list. Everyone knew what was about to happen, because unlike Cena, Seth didn't stand a chance against the Beast. So, in a desperate attempt to protect himself, Seth bought his security team a brand new car, hoping they would have his back when Brock decides to finally come for him. But one night on Monday Night Raw, everything changed. At that event, Seth's security stood in the middle of the ring ready to defend their new car, but all of a sudden Brock Lesnar appeared and did something no one expected. To everyone's surprise, right after him, Paul Heyman appeared dragging a massive box, and when he opened it, Brock pulled out 2 fire axes. The crowd froze for a second as they couldn't believe what just happened, but when Brock walked straight to that car and started destroying it, everything turned to chaos. At first, Brock raised his first axe and drove it straight through the door so hard that it got stuck, and right after that, he grabbed the second axe and started smashing the windows one by one. But when everyone thought it was all over, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, security finally had enough and rushed straight out of the ring to attack Brock. And right after that, Brock's attention turned straight to Rollins and charged straight toward him. And without wasting a single second, Seth ran through the crowd to escape from him. On SmackDown 2005, Rey Mysterio stepped into the ring ready to face 2 absolute giants, Kane and Big Show. From the very beginning, Rey was absolutely dominating, hitting them with lightning-fast moves that left both monsters struggling to keep up. But as Rey went for his final move, everything turned to chaos. Surprisingly, Kane and Show grabbed him and delivered him a devastating chokeslam. SummerSlam. And just when everyone thought it's all over, something unexpected happened. To everyone's surprise, Batista's music hit, and the Beast charged straight to the ring to save him. At Money in the Bank 2014, 8 superstars stepped into the ring for a ladder match to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion right after Bryan was forced to relinquish the title due to injury. From the very beginning, everyone knew this wasn't going to be just another match, because standing in that ring were John Cena, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Sheamus, Cesaro, Bray Wyatt, Kane, and Alberto Del Rio, all ready to destroy each other for the championship. Midway through the match, Cesaro and Sheamus battled on top of a massive ladder, trading vicious strikes high above the ring. But as they fought for position, everything changed. To everyone's surprise, Bray Wyatt appeared from nowhere and quickly pushed the ladder away, leaving both of them hanging onto the championship belts with no ladder beneath them. But when everyone thought it couldn't get any more dangerous, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, in the middle of all this chaos, Randy accidentally got smashed in the head with a ladder, opening up a wound that left him visibly shaken. But even that wasn't enough to stop the madness, because Roman Reigns then went on an absolute rampage. At first, he delivered a vicious spear to Kane, then unleashed Superman punches on both Orton and Sheamus. And on top of that, he charged full speed and hit running drop kicks on both Alberto Del Rio and Bray Wyatt. And right after that, Sheamus and Reigns trapped Kane between 2 ladders, creating a brutal ladder sandwich that left him motionless. But when Randy and Kane finally regained control and tried to help each other win the championship, everything changed. Because suddenly John Cena appeared and delivered devastating attitude adjustments to both of them to secure a victory. Before WrestleMania 24, Vince McMahon announced that Shawn Michaels would face Ric Flair in a match that would eventually end his career. That moment was especially difficult for Shawn, because Ric had been one of his biggest inspirations, and for a long time he deeply respected everything he brought to professional wrestling. But when their match finally began, you could notice sadness written all over Shawn's face. But despite all that, he stepped into the ring knowing exactly what this meant. From the very beginning, Ric was dominating, but as the match reached its peak, everything turned to chaos. To everyone's surprise, Shawn tuned up the band for Sweet Chin Music, but before delivering it, Shawn looked straight at Ric and apologized for what was coming. And even after the victory, he didn't flex or celebrate. Instead, he once again apologized and heartbroken rushed straight out of the ring. On Monday Night Raw 2003, Kane demanded a World Heavyweight Championship match against Triple H, who at that time was the reigning champion. But as Kane was convinced he was about to get the match he demanded, everything changed. Out of nowhere, Linda McMahon appeared and refused to give Kane the title opportunity. Surprisingly, Kane didn't even argue. Instead, he responded with a devastating tombstone piledriver. When Shane found out what happened, he immediately stormed into the arena, and without any hesitation, he went straight after Kane. And over the following weeks, Kane escalated the nightmare by relentlessly targeting Shane, until it all exploded when he interfered in his match against Chris Jericho on Raw. Instead of backing down, Shane ran after Kane, and as their fight moved through the backstage area, everything turned to chaos. At first, Kane grabbed Shane with a sick smile on his face, and for a moment, it looked like he was about to end him once and for all. But when everyone thought it was all over, Shane blocked the attack and sent Kane straight into Burning Box. For years, Triple and Shawn dominated WWE as the founding members of D-Generation X, revolutionizing the business together and building an unbreakable brotherhood that survived every war they fought. But at Survivor Series 2009, everything turned to chaos. That night, John Cena confidently stepped into the ring ready to defend his title in a triple threat match. But the seconds the bell rang, something unexpected happened. To everyone's surprise, Shawn didn't even hesitate and rushed straight at Hunter to eliminate him. For decades, fans believed The Undertaker had inhuman powers that let him appear from nowhere. But on Monday Night Raw 2014 proved the truth was way more ridiculous than anyone imagined. At that event, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman were standing in the middle of the ring, and suddenly the entire arena turned into a purple glow with a white spotlight shining directly on a casket. At first, Brock decided to open it expecting to see Taker inside, but to everyone's surprise, it was completely empty. And right after that, Brock immediately stepped back and said something no one expected. Immediately after those words, Paul took the mic and demanded The Undertaker to come out of the coffin, and seconds later, Man shocked both of them. So how did he pull it off? Every casket in WWE had a hidden compartment that could be opened, allowing wrestlers to slip inside from under the ring. Have you ever wondered why Dominik said,
"Anybody, where is the Judgment Day?"
For months, Dominik had the entire Judgment Day behind him, backing him up in every fight and making sure he never had to face anyone alone. But on Monday Night Raw 2025, something felt different. From the very beginning, John Cena was absolutely dominating over him, and every time Dominik looked to the entrance ramp expecting Judgment to show up, there was nothing but silence. Okay, but the real reason nobody showed up wasn't just an accident. For months, Dominik had betrayed everyone around him. He turned his back on Rhea Ripley when she needed him most, and even humiliated his father Ray on live television. So when Raw came and Dominik finally needed someone in his corner, it's no surprise the Judgment Day gave him what he deserved. Back in 1998, Goldberg was absolutely destroying everyone in WCW, while at the exact same time Stone Cold was the face of WWE. Back then, fans were genuinely dreaming about a match between the two, but there was one catch. Even though WWE bought WCW in 2001, Goldberg stayed off TV for 2 solid years until he made his shocking debut confronting The Rock. Unfortunately, that debut happened just one night after WrestleMania 19, when Stone Cold Gold wrestled his final match. And here's the wild part. 1 year later at WrestleMania 20, Goldberg faced Brock Lesnar with Stone Cold as the special guest referee, and after Goldberg won, he offered him a beer to celebrate his victory. But to nobody's surprise, as he gave him a beer, he delivered him a devastating stunner. For a few seconds as they stood face to face in that ring, it felt like the impossible was about to happen. And after all those years, Goldberg revealed that it never happened due to Austin's neck injury. Back in 2004, JBL was at the top of his game as WWE champion, and for months he'd been doing everything in his power to avoid facing Undertaker. But one night on SmackDown, he decided to do something no one expected. At that event, JBL confidently stepped into the ring and announced that he was ready to confront The Undertaker. The crowd froze in anticipation, waiting for the legendary gong to hit, but when it finally echoed through the arena, everything changed. To everyone's surprise, instead of the 300-pound man, a mini version of him appeared, making JBL immediately laugh and even tried to deliver a tombstone piledriver to mock the legend even more. But what JBL didn't know was that the real Taker was actually in the building that night, and the moment the lights went off and that iconic gong hit, his smile instantly vanished. And as Undertaker appeared, JBL desperately threw Mini Taker straight at him, hoping it would buy him enough time to escape. But to nobody's surprise, he did no damage to him, and seconds later, Taker finished him by delivering a devastating boot. Back in 2014, CM Punk was one of WWE's biggest stars, carrying the entire company on his shoulders with matches and promos that nobody could match. But one day on Royal Rumble, everything changed when he bravely stepped into the ring and fought for 49 solid minutes against 29 other wrestlers. Everyone expected him to win, but when it seemed like nothing could go wrong, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, Kane got him from behind, viciously eliminating him from the match. And here's the wild part. The very next day, without any warning or explanation, CM Punk disappeared from WWE, and for months, every fan was left wondering what really happened, until Punk in one of the interviews finally broke his silence and revealed that he was repeatedly mistreated and forced to perform through injuries. On Monday Night Raw 2014, Hulk Hogan was celebrating his 61st birthday surrounded by WWE stars and millions watching worldwide. But when Kevin Nash started singing Happy Birthday, everything changed. To everyone's surprise, Brock Lesnar's music hit, and together with Paul Heyman stormed straight to the ring. The whole arena froze for a second as they didn't know what just happened, but when Brock walked past doing face-to-face with each other, everyone knew trouble was about to happen. But when Brock suddenly stopped right in front of Hulk, he said something no one expected.
Party's over, Grandpa.
And when everyone thought the celebration was about to end, John Cena stormed straight to the ring to save it. On Monday Night Raw 2009, Mark Cuban appeared as the special guest host for the night. That evening, Mark's main job was to moderate a heated face-to-face between John Cena and the rising champion Sheamus. When the segment finally began, both Cena and Sheamus stood in the ring, ready to go at each other's throats. But as tensions escalated, Cena cut a promo saying Sheamus impressed him but didn't intimidate him enough. And in response, Sheamus tipped over his table in the ring. Refusing to show any weaknesses, John did the same thing with his own chair and table. And as Sheamus stepped forward to go face-to-face with John, he suddenly shoved Mark Cuban straight to the mat. And what happened next is even crazier. Cena immediately turned his attention on Mark to see if he was okay, which gave Sheamus the perfect opportunity to blast Cena with a devastating Yakuza kick straight to the head. And moments later, as our billionaire stood up and went face-to-face with Sheamus, everything changed. Surprisingly, without wasting a single second, Mark shoved Sheamus straight to the mat. The crowd froze for a second as they couldn't believe what just happened. But when Sheamus slowly got back up with pure rage in his eyes, everyone knew what was about to happen. And seconds later, Sheamus kneed Cuban and bashed him right through the table. On Monday Night Raw 2017, Braun and Kane had a hard-hitting match to determine who would face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at the upcoming Royal Rumble. The match was an absolute war between the two, but after destroying each other with steel steps, chairs, and tables, both got counted out, leaving everyone wondering who would face Brock next. That unanswered question didn't last long, because just 1 week later, Braun stormed into the ring demanding a championship match. But all of a sudden, Kane also appeared, saying that Braun can have the match unless he stops him first. And just when everyone thought these two were about to clash with each other, Paul Heyman showed up, reminding everyone that nothing gets decided without the Universal Champion himself. And right after that, Brock appeared and rushed straight to the ring. Unfortunately, Kurt Angle had no choice but to announce a triple threat match between them, and the moment he made it official, he quickly left before Brock started viciously attacking them. And a few weeks later on Raw, Paul Heyman stood in the middle of the ring cutting a promo about how Brock would dominate both opponents despite the odds stacked against him. But what Paul didn't expect was that out of nowhere, Kane would start attacking Brock at the top of the stage. But as their brawl escalated backstage, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, Braun came out of nowhere and charged straight at them. And without wasting a single second, he hurled Brock across the hallway, then lifted a massive crate and smashed it straight into Kane. And right after that, Braun spotted a grappling hook, and without any hesitation using his inhuman strength, he pulled the entire rig down. For over 2 decades, John built his entire legacy on one unbreakable rule. No matter how brutal the match became, tapping out was never an option. But on his last match on Saturday night's main event, everything changed. At that event, John confidently stepped into the ring to compete against Gunther. From the very beginning, Cena was absolutely dominating. But midway through the match, John started losing control, and all of a sudden Gunther locked him in a devastating sleeper hold. But what happened next took things to a whole new level of insanity. Instead of ending the match the way he always did, Cena smiled and for the first time tapped out. At SummerSlam 2002, Brock Lesnar confidently stepped into the ring to defeat The Rock and become the youngest WWE champion at just 25 years old. But one legend wasn't going to let this slide, and obviously his name was The Undertaker. After earning the #1 contendership, The Undertaker stepped face-to-face with Brock, marking the beginning of one of the most personal rivalries in history. For weeks, these two giants battled relentlessly, but everything changed when Paul Heyman decided to cross a line that should have never been crossed. During Taker's match with Matt Hardy on SmackDown, Brock and Paul were ringside trying everything they could only to help Matt win the match. At first, Heyman tossed a steel chair into the ring, but the referee got rid of it. Then, as Undertaker was dominating Matt in the corner, Heyman interrupted his iconic move, and the referee immediately ejected him from ringside. But moments later, Brock tripped Undertaker from the outside, allowing Matt to dump him out of the ring. As the referee spotted it, he ejected Brock Lesnar from ringside too. And when everyone thought they would finally leave, something unexpected happened. Instead of walking away, Paul went straight to the locker room where the Undertaker's pregnant wife Sarah was waiting for him. The crowd froze for a second, unsure of what just happened, but when Deadman rushed backstage to save her, everything turned to chaos. To everyone's surprise, Paul had lured him into a trap and Brock attacked him with a steel chair. And after beating him down, Brock did something that shocked the entire wrestling world. Not only he walked very close to Sarah, but on top of that, he whispered something no one expected.
Life's a
After that moment, it wasn't about titles anymore, and at Unforgiven, they finally stepped into the ring to end their feud once and for all. Unfortunately, their match ended in a double disqualification, but that didn't stop The Undertaker from launching Brock straight through the stage. At Unforgiven 2004, Shawn Michaels stepped into the ring for a no disqualification match against Kane. From the very beginning, Kane was absolutely dominating, and in the early moments of the match, he grabbed Shawn and hit him with a devastating toss suplex that sent him crashing straight through the announce table. But even that wasn't enough to stop him, and halfway through the match, Kane delivered him a powerful kick straight to his face. Intuitively, Shawn felt that something was wrong, but despite all that, Shawn finished the match by delivering his iconic sweet chin music for the pin. And here's the wild part. 4 years later, in 2008, WWE decided to use Shawn's real injury in a storyline with Chris Jericho, making it seem like Chris was the only one who caused that injury. Back in 2003, Eddie Guerrero and Big Show were in the middle of an intense feud over the United States Championship. And on one infamous episode of SmackDown, Eddie took the rivalry to a new level by humiliating Big Show in the most disgusting way possible. At that event, Eddie drove straight to the ring in a massive sewage truck while Big Show was cutting a promo. At first, Big Show tried to escape, but as he turned around to run away, Chavo set a trap and Show fell straight to the ground. And without wasting a single second, Eddie aimed the hose directly at him and sprayed the giant with sewage right in front of millions. And even though Big Show got his revenge by defeating Eddie for the United States Championship at No Mercy 2003, Eddie never forgot about that humiliation. And months later in April 2004, their paths crossed again when Big Show stepped into the ring to face him. But before their match even started, Big Show promised that if he lost to Eddie that night, he would quit WWE forever. From the very beginning, Eddie used every trick in the book to outsmart the 500-pound giant. But despite their massive size advantage, Eddie found a way to win, forcing him to quit wrestling. After that devastating loss, Big Show had to do the walk of shame through the backstage area, and as he was walking past the makeup room, something unexpected happened. To everyone's surprise, he spotted Tori Wilson laughing, and instantly he believed she was laughing at him for losing the match. At first, she tried to explain that she wasn't laughing at him, but when Big Show turned around with pure rage in his eyes, everyone intuitively knew what was about to happen. And moments later, as Tori tried to escape from him, Show spotted her near her car, but before she could even drive away, Big Show destroyed it with his bare hands. But when everyone thought it was all over, something crazier happened. At the end of the show, an assistant rushed backstage to find Kurt Angle and told him that Big Show had cornered Tori on a ledge high above the ground, putting her in serious danger. As Kurt heard that, he immediately rushed to save her, and when he finally reached the ledge, he tried to convince Big Show to let her go. Surprisingly, Big Show agreed and released Tori from his grip, but instead of walking away, Show grabbed him and without any hesitation chokeslammed him straight off the 20-foot ledge. On SmackDown 2006, Batista and Rey Mysterio stepped into a steel cage match against MNM for the Tag Team Championship. From the very beginning, MNM were absolutely dominating, but as Batista and Rey started gaining control, all of a sudden Mark Henry appeared and rushed straight to the ring trying to find a way to get inside that cage before it was too late. At first, Mark circled the cage like a true predator, but when he realized the only way in was through the locked steel door, he walked straight to it and grabbed the massive chain holding the door. The crowd expected him to snap it instantly, but what no one expected unexpected was that the WWE crew forgot to weaken the lock, leaving him pulling on a real one. But as Mark pulled one final time with everything he had, to everyone's disbelief, he broke the massive chain holding the door. And after that, Mark stormed straight to the ring to help MNM secure a victory. Back in 2006, D-Generation X had returned to WWE and immediately made it their mission to make Vince's life a living hell inside and outside the ring. At first, Triple and Shawn dumped green slime all over the Spirit Squad, and on top of that, impersonated as McMahon's created one of the most hilarious parodies in history. But the jokes didn't stop there, because on the very next episode of Raw, DX showed up at a private airport where Vince's $30 million private jet was parked. At the beginning, Shawn and Triple pretended they accidentally scratched the plane's paint, but as they turned around, the camera revealed a massive DX logo. As soon as Vince spotted it, he and Shane rushed straight to the ring to announce that DX would be arrested within minutes. But to everyone's surprise, the cameras cut again to Triple H and Shawn standing on top of WWE headquarters after spraying even larger DX across Vince's billion-dollar building. Vince froze for a second, and without saying a word, he slowly turned around and walked backstage, barely holding himself together. But that's not even the best thing. Later that same night, Vince and Shane quietly tried to leave the arena in Vince's personal limousine. But as the driver started moving forward, the entire back axle violently ripped off the car, leaving both McMahons completely stranded. On Royal Rumble 2026, 30 superstars stepped into the ring ready to destroy each other for a championship opportunity at WrestleMania. From the very beginning, the match was absolute chaos with bodies flying over the top rope and legends battling it out with everything they had. But when entrant number 22 was about to step into the ring, everything changed. To nobody's surprise, it was Brock Lesnar, and the moment he got into the ring, he began dominating anyone who dared to step in his way. But as the match progressed, something unexpected happened. Surprisingly, Ilia fearlessly charged straight at the beast, and without any hesitation started unleashing a vicious series of chops directly at Brock's chest. But to his disbelief, Brock didn't even flinch, and on top of that, he did something no one expected. Back in 2015, Seth Rollins and Kane had been working together as part of the Authority, with Kane serving as director of operations while also helping Seth protect his World Heavyweight Championship. But one night on Monday Night Raw, everything changed when Brock Lesnar hit Kane's leg with steel steps, and instead of showing any concern, Seth returned to make things even worse by stomping his injured leg. For nearly 2 months, Kane was completely out of action, leaving everyone to believe his career was over. But 2 months later, at Night of Champions, something unexpected happened. To everyone's surprise, just as Seth lost his rematch against John Cena for the United States Championship, Kane suddenly appeared on the Titantron, and when the arena lights turned red, the ring suddenly opened beneath Seth with Demon Kane dragging him down with him. But the next night on Raw, something stranger happened. Corporate Kane showed up to work like nothing happened, calmly denying everything when the Authority confronted him about attacking their champion. But Seth wasn't done yet, and on another episode of Raw, he filed an anonymous complaint to HR claiming Kane was unfit to be director of operations. But unfortunately, the evaluation found nothing wrong with him, and as Seth heard that, he immediately stormed straight to Kane and delivered him a devastating pedigree. But when everyone thought it was all over, something crazier happened. Surprisingly, Seth grabbed a steel chair and started viciously attacking Kane, and on top of that, he wrapped the chair around Kane's leg and stomped on it with full force. The crowd froze for a second as medical staff immediately rushed to carry the injured Kane. But as the ambulance slowly pulled away from the arena, all of a sudden it stopped in the middle of the parking lot, and furious Demon Kane emerged from it, marching straight back toward the ring. And what happened next is even crazier. Demon Kane stormed straight to the ring and delivered him a devastating chokeslam. But as Kane wanted to deliver him a tombstone piledriver, Seth managed to slip out of it and escape from the arena. And here's the wild part. As Seth ran away in fear, Kane calmly grabbed his World Heavyweight Championship and raised it high above his head, sending a clear message that he was coming for that title at Hell in a Cell. On December 2012, John Cena was scheduled to face Dolph Ziggler in a steel cage match for a non-televised live event. Thousands of fans packed the arena, expecting an unforgettable main event. But there was one problem. That arena building had one of the strictest curfews in all of wrestling, and if the show went even 1 second over that time, Vince McMahon would be hit with a devastating $500,000 fine. The whole event was full of excitement, with match after match delivering the crowd exactly what they wanted. But as the show went on, something unexpected happened. To everyone's surprise, the event was running way behind schedule, and by the time it was ready to start, there were only 8 minutes left before the curfew would kick in. Both Cena and Ziggler knew that 8 minutes wasn't nearly enough time to give the fans the match they deserved. So John and Dolph made a decision that shocked everyone. Instead of cutting the match short, they rushed straight to Vince and asked him for permission to go over the curfew. And without thinking twice, Vince agreed. Which moment do you like the most? Let me know down below, and I'll see you next time.